Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have an incredible brand new release to take a look at as we are checking out two more of Marco Makes Rubbersaurs figures. And this is a really exciting release for me, at least, because it's something that I often see about Marco. It's unbelievable that Marco does all of this himself, but I'm really excited to say that Marco isn't specifically responsible for this release, is actually his girlfriend Sora as well is responsible for this. So for the first time in any of my Marco Makes reviews ever, he isn't the only person that has worked on these, as I do believe he stated that she is responsible for the Ichthyosaurus and he is responsible for the Liopleurodon. So that's really awesome to have kind of a joint collection of models from both of them. And actually, now that I think about it, it says right here, homemade in England by Marco and Sora. So right there, you can see that they both worked on this set together. So that is really, really awesome. And honestly, looking at the Ichthyosaurus, obviously we know Marco is an incredible artist. He's sculpted some of the best figures that I think I've ever seen in my life. But seeing how incredible of a job Sora did on the Ichthyosaurus as well really says that she needs to continue sculpting dinosaurs and other prehistoric species, which obviously this isn't a dinosaur, but sculpting different prehistoric animals, because she clearly is very talented, just like Marco himself. But again, if you are not familiar with what you're looking at here, in general, the Rubbersaurs line is a line of unbelievably awesome figures sculpted and created entirely by Marco Makes until this release, as it's now Marco and Sora. But again, he is the creator of this line, the Rubbersaurs line, and they're some of the coolest figures that you'll ever see anywhere. And if you are even further not aware of what you're looking at, these are based on the Walking with Dinosaurs series. If you are familiar with that, you'll know straight away. If you are not, trust me, you should check that out right away, as we have the Liopleurodon and Icthyosaurus, which are both clearly based off of the Walking with Dinosaurs counterparts, with it would actually be the Ophthalmosaurus, which is a species of Ichthyosaurus. So again, Ichthyosaurus. But as you can see, again, Rubbersaurs logo right there. And then on the upper right-hand side, you have Monsters of the Deep. And then down here, we have collectible rubber models. And then, of course, Liopleurodon and Ichthyosaurus. And the Marco Makes logo right there to the left. And then if we turn it around, we can see on the back, Rubbersaurs, again, Monsters of the Deep, same deal right here as far as the species title, and then Predator and Prey fight for survival in this limited edition set. And then down here we have all of Marco's information, so you should definitely, without question, if you are not already, subscribe to Marco Makes on YouTube so that you can always stay up to date on all of his releases, as well as following Marco on Instagram, liking Marco on Facebook, and support Marco on Patreon, because every single time you support him on there, that helps to further the Rubbersaurs line. Purchase his figures from his Etsy store, as always. And then we have a special thanks to Sora down here for lending her skills in sculpting the Ichthyosaurus figure, again, like I had stated earlier. And then we have the Marco Makes logo right here. So the actual artwork, again, is phenomenal on this, as always. And I'm so happy to now have two different Rubbersaurs with the packaging themselves. Love that aspect of these releases. And they're actually really high quality. Like this cardboard, you can see that's really thick, and it's the same way for the Dilophosaurus. You don't get that kind of quality from any type of a store-sold figure. Only from Marco Makes will you find that kind of incredible quality. But anyway, now that I've rambled on forever, we need to break these guys out of their chains and take a look at them up close right now. So starting with the Liopleurodon and up at the head sculpt, look at how picture perfect that head sculpt is to replicating the Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon. Like, it honestly does not get any nicer than what you see here. I really hope Marco produces more Walking with Dinosaurs inspired figures in the future, although I've been kind of hoping and praying for him to release a Jurassic Park style Ceratosaurus and Carnotaurus for a very long time as well. But I would love to see more Walking with Dinosaurs style figures from him in the future also, because the Toyway Walking with Dinosaurs series, that line was not very big. It was very small, and compared to the amount of species that you actually saw in Walking with Dinosaurs, there is just so much more potential for an incredible and very large line of figures to be released, which Toyway didn't really take advantage of, so maybe Marco can pick up their slack and give us the figures that we all want so badly. But again, starting up here at the head sculpt of the Liopleurodon, look at the insanely beautiful texturing to the skin of this Liopleurodon. Like, look at how lifelike that looks. That is very, very impressive. Even the detailing there around the eyes, it's just super well done. The eyes are painted with a very nice greenish coloration, picture perfect as far as the placement goes, given a nice black pupil. The paintwork in general on this is so precise and so well done, really capturing the Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon appearance, but also looking really nice and natural on the figure overall. And I can instantly take note to the fact that he's given this like a really cool grayish wash, it looks like, which makes sure that all the detail on it pops in very realistic and lifelike fashion. It looks, again, beautiful beyond belief overall as far as the paintwork goes, really complementing his incredible sculpt. You can also see the nostrils are sculpted out up here, and the texturing of the model up here on the top of the head continues to look insanely well done. You can see that the teeth are sculpted out and painted. If we take a look at the opposing side of the head, again, all the paintwork looks really beautiful, very nice and precise like we saw on the opposing side. Beautifully done. The teeth are all painted, again, perfectly. They look really, really good and also look just like it did in the Walking with Dinosaurs series. And again, the actual texturing to the skin is insanely impressive. Like, I often compliment companies like Collect Day and Safari Ltd and stuff like that, those type of companies, for how good of a job they do on creating really nice texturing to the skin of their marine reptiles on animals that you would normally expect to have kind of like a little bit less of a detailed appearance in figure form, because honestly, how much detail could you cram into a marine reptile? That's kind of the way I always go into it as far as these type of animals, and then they always impress me as far as the actual amount of detail they manage to cram into their sculpts. However, I will say that Marco's Liopleurodon right here is probably better than anything I've seen from Collect A and Safari Ltd. Detail-wise, it is just honestly next level beautiful. Like, just showing the skin kind of stretching off of the body with the head sculpt right here, that's so beautifully displayed in the sculpt right there. And again, that nice wash that he's applied, make sure that all of that detail pops in a really realistic and lifelike way. You can kind of see like some creasing going on right here as you lead from the body into the flipper. Even the flipper, look as I turn it. The actual texturing is so perfect and incredibly highly detailed. You can even see like creasing within the flippers as we move out further. And again, the paintwork is just picture perfect as far as the application of it goes. You can even see kind of like that, almost like an armored type of a look that you see on the Liopleurodon in Walking with Dinosaurs, with almost like a scute-like appearance or an osteoderm-like appearance that runs down the course of the back. He has that perfectly sculpted out within the figure as well. Really, really nice texturing to the figure in every area. And again, capturing the likeness of the Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon perfectly. And again, look at that insanely beautiful texturing to the skin and all of the like the creases and stuff in the skin with that gray wash. It just looks so lifelike and realistic. And some more really nice creasing again back here as we get closer to the flipper. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen a more realistic looking sculpt on a marine reptile in my life. Like, this is just incredible looking. Even more creasing right here on this flipper, and again, the actual texturing to the flipper itself as you turn it, and I kind of like let the light shine off of it. You can really take note to how realistic the sculpt is. Really love that area right there. And then we lead out here into the tail, and the texturing does not cease. It continues to look just absolutely beautiful the entire way through. I feel like he's captured the tones of color perfectly on this as well. Again, the actual detailing here in the neck and throat region is just insanely beautiful. You see lots of more really nice creasing going on here on the underside of this flipper as well. And primarily the underside is all just this whitish coloration, more like an off-white with that nice grayish wash, but you can see areas of the black kind of creeping in certain areas. And I love how it's not the same on each side. Like, it really looks very realistic as far as the application of the paint as well, because he makes sure that it, looks different on each flipper, very lifelike as far as that goes. But even the undersides of the flippers look super realistic, sculpt and paint wise. And then as we come back up here again, you can see even more beautiful detailing, some more creasing right here at the base of the flipper, and the texturing here on the side of the animal continues to look just beautiful, and the paintwork so realistically applied. And then some more creasing back here as far as that flipper goes. The very fine detailing is so impressive to me. Look at when you get nice and close and look at how he's applied that wash, and then the wash really shows off that detail. It is just super, super impressive to me. And then you lead out the length of the tail again, it looks great. And then you also have the Rubbersaurs logo down here on the underside of that flipper. So honestly, this is as nice of a Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon as I've ever seen, and is definitely the best version of one that I've ever seen, in my opinion, even beating out the Toyway version actually by like a mile. This thing is just beautiful. And then we have our Ophthalmosaurus, aka Ichthyosaurus, right here. And Sora is the one responsible for the sculpt of this, and look at how good of a job she has done on it as well. Again, the actual detailing aspect on something like this, you would expect it to be really smooth, like a very smooth animal that you wouldn't see too much going on with the actual skin texture, but she has managed to make this as realistic and lifelike in the texturing aspect as it could possibly get. Like, you could see how beautiful and fine the actual detailing is, but how unbelievably lifelike it looks. And you can see that the entire way out as you lead out here into the mouth, and such a beautiful flashy color scheme they gave this in the Walking with Dinosaurs series, and captured that as well, I think, honestly, perfectly for this type of a figure. Like, it looks great. It really, really does. The eye as well, you can see the eye is sculpted out really nicely and painted beautifully with a brown and then a black pupil. I don't know how well you can actually pick up on that thanks to the light kind of shining that away, but in person I can see it really quite nicely. You can also see the nostrils are sculpted out up here on the upper part of the head of the Ichthyosaurus, and the paintwork looks great. As you stripe down here, you can see some really nice tones of color with like a bluish coloration. You even see like hints of pink and the really nice off-whites and stuff. It just looks super, super appealing to the eye. And the actual texturing, again, of the skin is really, really well done. As you kind of turn it and let the light shine off of it, just like we did with the Liopleurodon, you can pick up on just how beautiful the detailing aspect is. The flipper out here looks great. You have some nice creasing again in the flipper area right there. And the paintwork continues to look really nice and precise the entire way through the figure. And the underside starts to have like this really nice and smooth looking appearance, but she still has crammed in some really nice texturing to the underside of the model, even on the underside of the fins as well, but specifically like the underside of the stomach and the chest region and everything like is really well done on this Ichthyosaurus. And you can see the fins back here also look really, really beautiful. The dorsal fin also has that very nice texturing to it, making it just look so lifelike. And then we lead out here into the tail fin, and that also looks great. Again, the texturing is just phenomenally well done. Sora actually has sculpted it out to make it look 1000% lifelike, and again, really accurate to the Ophthalmosaurus from the Walking with Dinosaurs series. And then, of course, the paintwork is just like the icing on the cake as far as this figure goes. And this is one that I honestly could not be happier to add to my collection. Actually, both of these, I should say, because I love the Walking with Dinosaurs series, and we have so few figures out there from it. And to have one sculpted from Marco, one sculpted from Sora, and to both be as good as these are, I am just over the moon excited about these. And yes, being Rubbersaurs, these are also flexible, so you can, bend them and articulate them a little bit. Not quite as articulated as we saw with the Dilophosaurus, because the figure's a lot larger. Like, you could see the body's really thick. Like, I don't think it would have worked too well to have it quite as bendable as that, but I feel like what we have here is perfect for this type of a figure. And as far as a size goes on our Liopleurodon, for a length, you are looking at about 10 3/4 inches, or about the 27 centimeter range. And that's really about all you're going to get, mostly for a size on an animal like this. And then for our Ichthyosaurus, For a length, you are looking at about the 4 3/4 inch range, or about 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Marco Makes and Sora Walking with Dinosaurs inspired Liopleurodon and Icthyosaurus, and you can definitely see in comparison to these figures here that they sport some really nice size overall. Obviously the Ichthyosaurus is a good bit smaller than the Liopleurodon. That makes 100% sense, but the Liopleurodon does sport an overall very impressive size, and hopefully next to these figures here, it'll give you a good idea in general of the size of both. And then for a second size comparison, here are our Marco Makes and Sora Walking with Dinosaurs figures next to the toy-way version of the Liopleurodon right here. And you can see in general that the overall realism, I feel like looking at the head sculpts of both in comparison to each other, the Marco Makes version looks so much more realistic, I feel like, than the toy-way version. Like, it generally looks almost like a living, breathing animal right here, and the toy-way version definitely looks a good bit more like an actual figure as opposed to a model. Both of which are phenomenal, though. I love the toy-way version of the Walking with Dinosaurs Liopleurodon. My personal preference is that I definitely like Marco's version better, and unfortunately I do not have the toy-way version of the Ophthalmosaurus, the Ichthyosaurus, to take a look at in comparison to Sora's version back there, but that version is absolutely gorgeous that we see right here from the Marco Make set, as is the Liopleurodon, and in my opinion, even better than the toy-way version of the Liopleurodon we see here. So this really cool Monsters of the Deep set from both Marco Makes and Sora are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I have been a huge fan of each and every release that I've been able to obtain of Marco's, but these two might be at the top of the list as far as my favorites go, because again, the fact that it's a Walking with Dinosaurs inspired set is awesome, because we have so few Walking with Dinosaurs inspired figures out there currently. There's just not much to go around, and especially when it comes to figures that look this good. I feel like as far as the sculpting aspect goes of both figures, they are insanely highly detailed. Like, you could not possibly find any way to cram more detail into these figures than you see already from both Marco and Sora. They did a fantastic job on the overall detailing aspect, and in fact, the Liopleurodon may be one of the nicest sculpts that I've seen from Marco, which is really saying something because he always produces a very high quality sculpt and a highly detailed sculpt, but this Liopleurodon is just like absolutely blowing my mind with how incredibly well done the detailing aspect is, as is the Ichthyosaurus back there. And again, as far as screen accuracy, looking like what they look like in Walking with Dinosaurs, I feel like as well they hit the nail right on the head. Both perfectly portray the actual screen counterparts, and that's not just in sculpt, that's in paint as well, because the paint applications as far as like figures like this, they're so good. They look so realistic, so perfectly and very naturally applied. There is no sloppiness as far as the paintwork goes on either figure, which is, something that you don't ever see when it comes to Marco. He doesn't usually ever deliver any type of sloppy paint. It's always so perfectly precise and beautiful, which is always something that's really fun about buying Marco's stuff, because on top of getting a figure that was sculpted by him, you get them painted by Marco as well, which is just absolutely awesome to have like that double whammy for your figures. And again, the paintwork all looks incredibly natural on both figures, as well looks just like it did in Walking with Dinosaurs. And then on top of all of that, the incredible figures, you have the beautiful artwork that it comes with, the incredible packaging that it comes with, that is super high quality. Again, it is just the total package as far as this release goes. And again, this was a gift that was sent to me from Marco and Sora, which I could not be more grateful for. So unbelievably happy that they decided to send this stuff over to me. I could not thank them enough. But I will say again, thank you so much for sending these gifts over. I'm super grateful, and for allowing us the opportunity here on the channel to be able to take a look at these up close with a really nice review. So if you are interested in picking these up, make sure you check out Marco's YouTube, his Instagram, his Facebook, his Patreon, and his Etsy store, so you can always stay up to date on everything coming from Marco. and you can make sure that you are there on time to pick up his releases when they hit the Etsy store, because again, they don't usually last very long. So it's very important to pay very close attention to all of those things to make sure that you know when the releases are actually going to be going up for sale and you don't miss out. So make sure you do all of those things, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.